ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति. We'll chant Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, verses 16 to 20.
द्वाविमौ पुरुषौ लोके क्षरश्चाक्षर एव च क्षरः सर्वाणि भूतानि कूटस्थोऽक्षर उच्यते उत्तमः पुरुषस्त्वन्यः परमात्मेत्युदाहृतः यो लोकत्रयमाविश्य बिभर्त्यव्यय ईश्वरः यस्मात्क्षरमतीतोऽहम् अक्षरादपि चोत्तमः अतोऽस्मि लोके वेदे च प्रथितः पुरुषोत्तमः यो मामेवमसम्मूढः जानाति पुरुषोत्तमं स सर्वविद्भजति मां सर्वभावेन भारत इति गुह्यतमं शास्त्रम् इदमुक्तं मया नघ एतद्बुद्ध्वा बुद्धिमान् स्यात् कृतकृत्यश्च भारत.
In this chapter 15 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, entitled as Purushottama Yogaha, the yoga of the Supreme Being, chapter 15, we are supposed to start from 16th shloka today. We have covered up to 15. Now, this up to shloka number 15 is covering the three topics of this chapter. This chapter first begins with samsara varnanam. He describes the samsara in the beginning. He compares samsara, meaning the cycle of birth and death. This world. He describes this world, samsara, comparing it with a huge peepal tree. And he says the main root is above and the tree, the whole branches and everything below. Urdhva moolam adashakam ashwatam prahuravyayam. Ashwattham means that which does not remain the same, which keeps changing, referring to samsara. So this huge tree represents the samsara, and he says it has come from Brahman. How it has come from Brahman? Brahman, or the reality, or in simple language, if you want to put it, it means world. God, in simple language. Now, when he says that this world has come out of Brahman, God is the cause, world is the effect. God is the karana, world is the karya. We should not understand it as tree coming out of seed. We should understand that the existence of Brahman leaves the potential of not understanding Brahman as Brahman. Existence of Mr. Banerjee leaves the potential of not understanding Mr. Banerjee as Banerjee and misunderstanding him as Chatterjee or Mukherjee. Something, you understand? And when we misunderstand Mr. Banerjee as Chatterjee, there must be some qualities similar between Banerjee and Strategy. You can only misunderstand a boulder as an elephant, a crack on earth as a rope, as a snake, a rope as a snake. You can't misunderstand rope as an elephant. You understand? But to misunderstand rope, the rope must exist. Okay. So what Vedanta says is the existence of Brahman, reality, leaves the potential of not understanding Brahman as Brahman. It is inherent in it. That's what it means. And that potential you can call it as the Shakti, Maya. And from that, this entire universe is projected. That's what he wants to say. You understand? So when there is a rope, the existence of rope leaves the potential of not understanding rope as rope. Once you non-apprehend the rope, then you can misapprehend it as snake. Now, when you misunderstand it as snake, and I ask you to describe the snake, you will say it is 5 feet long, 3 inches thick, black in color, coiled. Now, I am seeing the rope. I'm not seeing the snake. I know the qualities of the rope is same. 5 feet long, 3 inches thick, black in color, coiled. So then I understand that this guy has misunderstood the rope as snake. You understand? This is what he's saying. So this way, this world has come out of Brahman. And as long as we, the individuals, jivas, are all in ignorance, for us, this world is real. And we are all caught in this world. So we have to question, not take it for granted. And when you question, which is what it does, through discrimination, you will understand that it is actually not real. It is constantly changing. Reality is that which existed in the past and present and will continue to exist in future as the same. So therefore, you understand that this is not real. At the same time, you cannot call it unreal either, because now it is available to you as jiva, you are experiencing it. How can you reject your experience? So therefore, Vedanta calls it as relative reality. It talks about 3 orders of reality, called as Paramarthika Satyam. Satyam means real. Vyavaharika Satyam and Pratibhasika Satyam. Paramarthika Satyam means absolute reality. Vyavaharika Satyam means practical reality, relative reality. And then Pratibhasika Satyam means projected reality. So Pratibhasika Satyam, for example, could be your dream. That is only real to you, the dreamer. Even daydreaming, you are going through some experience. That is only happening in you. But this Vyavaharika Satyam, this practical reality, it is real for you and me both. You understand? And that absolute reality, Paramarthika Satyam, in which this entire waking, dream and deep sleep states, all these are unreal. Only Brahman exists at that level. You understand? So in this sense, Vedanta explains the Karana Karya. And when you understand it that way, the material cause for this world is Maya Shakti, the ignorance. Right? And the intelligent cause for this world is Brahman. Brahman plus Maya is called as Ishvara. Right? So in that sense, we say Ishvara is the intelligent cause, Maya is the material cause. Right? So once I understand this, through discrimination, I develop Vairagya, and then I start taking it with a pinch of salt while I'm relating in this world, and start trying to venture into my true self, that reality. This is how you have to go, he says. And then when I begin to understand, so this is what he discusses in the beginning of this chapter. And then he says, this, then you will understand that this entire macrocosm is nothing but Brahman. And the microcosm, the individual, you and me, who's part of it, we are also Brahman. And both this macrocosm and microcosm are perishable. They have a beginning and an end. You understand? Now, this is what he discusses from verse 1 to 6 and 7 to 11. Then from 12 to 15, which are the few shlokas that we saw later on, there he says Brahman is the essence in both, and he calls it as Akshara, the imperishable. Now, when he says Brahman is imperishable here, what he means is the substratum upon which this whole universe is projected, that substratum is imperishable. And that is Brahman. In fact, we are going to study from Shloka 16 today. There he is going to say Brahman is even beyond this Akshara. Okay. So what is this Akshara? Now, when an individual dies, okay, the individual death, we have described it before. Transference of subtle body from one gross body to another in the medium of consciousness. That is called death. Transference of subtle body along with causal body vasanas from one gross body to another gross body in the medium of consciousness. So now here what is happening? The body is perishing, right? But what is happening to the vasanas? They remain imperishable. And according to the vasanas, they take rebirth. Okay, you are now manifest in this world, in this classroom. Now, when the vasana to study Vedanta is over, you will go to another experience. You will be finding yourself in some other place, whatever may be your next vasana. Okay, so the vasanas are imperishable. You understand? This body is perishable. Even the subtle body is perishable. But vasanas continue. That's called as Akshara. You understand? Which is from the total, when you use the word ignorance or Maya. Individually you use the word Vasana. So what is Akshara? Akshara is Maya, the Shakti. You understand? The Shakti is also in Brahman. So it is not wrong to say Brahman is Akshara. And from that Shakti, this entire universe has come. And therefore that is also Brahman. Therefore Kshara is also Brahman. Akshara is also Brahman. But Brahman is not to be just understood as Kshara and Akshara. It is even beyond.
Swamiji, we've given a new word to Maya Shakti and called it Akshara.
Yes, because that is imperishable relatively. Right? Just like how you go to sleep every night, sometimes in the class also. Okay, so when you go to sleep and you wake up, if you are a mathematician, will you wake up as mathematician or will you suddenly wake up as a dancer? Will you wake up as a sportsman or a mathematician? A sportsman who goes to sleep will wake up as a sportsman. A mathematician who goes to sleep wakes up as a mathematician. So what is happening? The physical body has gone into unmanifestation temporarily. Our waking personality and dream personality has gone into unmanifestation temporarily. Right? So that is perished temporarily. But the deep sleep state in which the vasanas are there, that is existing. That is why next day morning again that person wakes up as mathematician. Otherwise tomorrow you may wake up as dancer, cricketer, engineer, doctor. You understand? So the vasanas are relatively speaking imperishable. You understand?
Unless we dissolve them.
No, exactly. That can also be dissolved finally. Finally, it will also be dissolved. Only when you dissolve all the vasanas, then you realize the self. So that's why I'm again and again using relatively imperishable. Okay. Ultimately, what is really imperishable is that Brahman, that consciousness. That is even beyond deep sleep. It's beyond waking, dream, and deep sleep. You understand? So that's what he's saying here. That we'll study now. From 16 to 20, we'll study that. So here, when he says akshara, right? For example, names and forms perishes. The material remains. For example, ornaments. Necklace, you may be having bangles and you're getting bored, old model. And then you take it to the jewelry shop. So you can change it to some other ornament, isn't it? So you will change it to something else. You may have to pay maybe a little extra, whatever, but another, maybe you made it into a chain. So bangle name is gone, bangle form is gone. Now chain form has come, chain name has come. Correct? The gold remains the same. So gold is the material cause, which is imperishable. Do you understand? Now, what did we see as material cause in the creation of the world? If you followed what I explained just now, I said for every creation, there is a material cause and an intelligent cause. In the case of a pot maker is the intelligent cause. Clay is the material cause. In the case of gold ornaments, goldsmith is the intelligent cause. Gold is the material cause. When it comes to world, who is the material cause and the intelligent cause? Both material cause and the intelligent cause is Ishvara. Okay. But the material cause is Maya, Prakriti. And the intelligent cause is Ishvara, Purusha. If you remember what we studied in 13th chapter and 14th chapter. That's why it's very important to recollect those things that we studied there. In the 13th chapter, it talks about Purusha and Prakriti. And we also studied about the Kshetra, Kshetrajna. There are too many Kshetras, but Kshetrajna is only one. One Purusha plays in different cities. Purika Isha, that which plays in different Puris. You understand? For example, male body is different Puri, different city. Female body is different city. But the Lord consciousness which plays in the female body and the male body is one. Kshetrajna. You understand? So, Ishvara, Purusha, when you refer to with reference to the total, you call as Akshara Purusha. You understand? With reference to the individual, you call it as Kshara Purusha. Because the Jiva manifests and Jiva perishes. But the Vasanas continues. With reference to the total, you call it as Maya. So Maya is the material cause and Ishvara is the intelligent cause. What is Ishvara? Brahman plus Maya. Brahman is intelligence, all knowing. Yes, what's your question?
So the difference between Akshara and Ishvara is what?
Akshara, when you say, is Maya.
It's just pure Maya.
Yeah, but Maya by itself doesn't exist. It is the Shakti which exists in Brahman, no?
So Brahman plus Maya is Ishvara.
Ishvara.
So Brahman
Plus Maya is, Brahman plus Maya is Akshara. Brahman plus Maya plus the total Jivas is Kshara. The manifested world is Kshara. The unmanifest substratum is Akshara. Do you get it or not? What's your confusion?
I'm even more confused.
I explained to you, vasanas are there. From that only it comes. This is from the individual point of view. Now you have vasanas, I have vasanas, Arvindji has vasanas, Abhinav has vasanas, all these people who are attending in the online, everybody has vasanas. All these vasanas put together, total, is called total vasanas. The total vasanas is called total Prakriti Maya. Okay, so from the individual point of view, microcosm, you call it as vasanas. From the total, you call it as Maya.
Okay.
So Ishvara or the consciousness plus Maya is Ishvara. What is the confusion there? Which is Akshara, which remains there. So now, just like how when you go to deep sleep and you wake up, your world starts, right, from where you left. Similarly, when the whole universe goes to Pralayam, again it comes to Prabhava. See, if you remember, we studied all these things. We talked about Brahmaji's day, Brahmaji's night. 4.32 billion years, Brahmaji's day. 4.32 billion years, Brahmaji's night. That is one day of Brahmaji. Like that, he lives 100 years. Okay. So now, all these calculations are only to tell you that even Brahmaji's such a staggering life calculation is also finite.
Yeah.
That is also finite only. You understand? So, in other words, Brahmaji is awake for 4.32 billion years, and then he goes to sleep for 4.2 billion years, and he wakes up, goes back to sleep like that. And then Brahmaji himself goes into unmanifestation. Again, he comes into unmanifestation after some time. So, all these are called different pralayas, right? At all that time, what is happening to the total vasanas? They are continuing, right? That's called substratum akshara from that angle. Do you get it? Yes. So, akshara means imperishable, but we are going to call it relative imperishable. Why? Because he's going to introduce this concept called Uttama Purusha. In fact, that is exactly the chapter's name also. Purushottama. Yoga of supreme being. Purushottama Yoga. Right? So all he wants to say is, it is that Brahman which is even beyond ignorance. See, when we say out of ignorance this universe has come about, Surabhi is ignorant that she is Brahman, she is Atman, and she therefore thinks that she is Surabhi out of ignorance. And the moment she identifies with that and thinks that she's Surabhi, automatically Surabhi's world has come. Arvind Behal, Abhinav, Lakshmi Narayan, this whole class, everything has come. Is this clear? Now my question to you is, who is ignorant? Is Brahman ignorant? Surabhi is ignorant. Individual Surabhi is ignorant. Brahman is never ignorant. Brahman never forgets that it is Brahman. Brahman is all-knowing. You understand? So if you remember, we have also discussed about this concept of Maya, and we said Maya is subservient to Brahman. Maya has two Shaktis, Avarna Shakti, Vikshepa Shakti. Avarna Shakti is that which covers, veils. Vikshepa Shakti is that with which it projects. Okay, Brahman using Maya, not coming under the dominance of the veiling power of Maya, controlling the Maya, using the Vikshepa Shakti, this whole universe is projected. And when this universe is projected, the individuals, you and me, we are all dominated by Maya, both the veiling power called Avarna Shakti and the Vikshepa Shaktis are working on us. Since the Avarna Shakti has overpowered us, we have forgotten who we are essentially. And we have projected this Lakshmi Narayan. As soon as I project Lakshmi Narayan, the Lakshmi Narayan's world also simultaneously manifests. So all they want to say is, this manifested world of Lakshmi Narayan and Lakshmi Narayan, which is Kshara, because this is name and form. Okay, that Kshara is also Brahman. But that alone is not Brahman. You have to penetrate a little more. When you penetrate a little more, then you'll go deep and see that the substratum is that vasanas, the Maya. But that Maya is also what? Akshara Brahman only. Beyond that, there is one more concept, Uttama Purusha. Brahman remains in its pristine glory. From Brahman's point of view, is anything created? That's all they want to say. From Brahman's point of view, nothing has come, nothing has gone, nothing has happened. But from our point of view, all this has happened. So he's going to say, if you understand these things, then if you dwell upon this, identify with that Brahman and deal with the world, then you won't create fresh vasanas and you'll be exhausting the existing vasanas. And when all your vasanas are exhausted, you become Brahman. Then you understand that all this was a tamasha. And as long as your prarabdha vasanas are there, you may continue existing in the body, but you know that it is a tamasha. Then thereafter you will be dealing with it very easily. This is what the whole concept of Vedanta is all about. So in this, up to chapter 15, verse 15 that we have covered, this is what he says. This is Akshara Brahman. Akshara is the substratum. Right? But beyond this, you have to go further. Truly speaking, Brahman is beyond. Because what is happening now is we are trying to understand Brahman with reference to world. From your point of view and my point of view, world is huge. But Brahman point of view, it is nothing. In fact, from Brahman's point of view, it doesn't even exist. This is a staggering concept that they want to make you understand. See, when you begin to understand these concepts and you dilute it very much from the worldly point of view, you see, your problem seems to be like something huge. But what is it for somebody else? It is nothing for somebody else. And what is it from the point of view of the world and from the point of view of the timeline? Nothing. Isn't it? You could have failed in 8th standard and maybe in 10th standard also, and maybe again in 12th standard. Just an example. At that time, it was a big thing. Oh my God, you would bring the whole house down, you'll cry, and everybody's talking to you, don't worry, and all that. Now you will be sitting and laughing. 8th standard also I failed, 10th also I failed, 12th also I failed. Now you may be multi-millionaire, that's a different thing. Or you may be a Vedanta teacher. You understand? So don't think that I failed. So the point is, now in the entire timeline, it's nothing. So when you understand these concepts and it percolates into your daily living, even the biggest of challenges, you will deal with it, but you won't take it to your heart and get affected and upset by it. And that's what Vedanta can do to you if you really understand it correctly. Big deal. You understand? World is not, right now it looks like that's everything for you. But then world is much more than that, and reality is even beyond all this. You get it? And that's why that staggering concept is being explained in this way. So now, from verse number 16, he is going to explain it from that beyond angle. It is not just Kshara and Akshara, but it is also Uttama Purusha. It is beyond Kshara and Akshara. Let us chant shloka number 16.
द्वाविमौ पुरुषौ लोके क्षरश्चाक्षर एव च क्षरः सर्वाणि भूतानि कूटस्थोऽक्षर उच्यते.
Dvavimau Purushau Loke, he says. Loke means in this world. There are these two Purushas, beings in the world. These two Purushas, referring to what? Kshara Purusha and Akshara Purusha. So he's saying there are these two Purushas, beings in the world. That which means what? Beyond the world, there is that supreme Purusha. That's what he's referring to. So he says there are these two Purushas, beings in the world, the perishable Kshara and the imperishable Akshara. Perishable is all beings, the names and forms. And the imperishable is called the Kutastha, immutable. Now it's very interesting. This Kutastha, always to explain the Kutastha, the example of anvil is given. They keep the anvil and they keep the leather material and everything on the anvil. And they beat it with hammer and all that, changing its shape. Nothing happens to the anvil. So, like that, the role played by Maya. You understand? Which is the Akshara Purusha. Akshara Purusha is the anvil upon which the names and forms come and go, come and go, come and go. Vasanas remain the same, no? So you keep something on the anvil. You understand the anvil? That iron piece. The cobbler and all uses actually. You know. Yeah, it's a, how do I describe? It's an iron piece, made of iron or steel or whatever, and that it has a flat surface. And that they keep the leather and all that, and they beat it and change and do all kind of work on it. The material which you keep on it and beat it, they go through change. The anvil remains the same flat surface. Nothing happens to it. So all the changes are happening on the Maya. Maya remains the Kutastha, the anvil, which doesn't go through any change. That's what he's saying. It remains as immutable, unchanging. Unchanging, no? Vasanas remain same. That is only when you realize the self. That's why I told you relatively. Has it changed? Every day it continues to be the mathematician, no? Only when you exhaust your vasanas. Of course, vasanas change. You're going on harping on that point. I'm not saying no. I'm using the word relative, time and again. You understand that. Relatively speaking, vasanas are imperishable. Yes or no?
They'll always stay. Yeah.
The name, I explained to you. Once the material gold is gone, will the names and form be there thereafter? Will it come back again? Let's say you lost your gold ornament. Can you change it into chain? Let's say you have a bangle and you lost it. Now, how will you change it? It's gone. No? So that's what you are referring to. Vasanas can also be changed. Yes, when the vasanas changes, the changes meaning completely dissolved. That stage I'm talking about. Right? See, when you exhaust all your vasanas, finally you become Brahman again. Meaning you were always Brahman. You realize that. And that is Uttama Purusha. We'll discuss that later. In this shloka, all he's saying is there are two Purushas. Kshara, Akshara. Perishable and imperishable. Imperishable is the what? What is imperishable?
The vasana.
Vasanas. Maya, from the total point of view. Or you can use another word. What is that?
Akshara.
Material cause.
Material.
Okay. English mein material cause. Upadana karanam and nimitta karanam. Nimitta karanam means, see, in the presence of Ishvara, the Maya animated by Ishvara has projected this world. So Maya is the material cause, Ishvara is the intelligent cause. You understand? So therefore, here the word imperishable refers to Maya, the Akshara Purusha. So he says there are these two Purushas, beings in this world called perishable and the imperishable. The perishable is all these beings, meaning the names and forms, that which comes to manifestation. And after manifestation, where do they go back to? Again to Shakti, na? Maya. And that's why the imperishable is called the Kutastha, the immutable, which remains changeless, ignorance. Right? And see, always all these concepts are explained to make us go one step further. And then from there we have to go to the ultimate step. We can't straight away jump. We have to go from the known to the unknown to the unknowable. Okay, Brahman is unknowable. It is that which makes you know everything. With your intellect, you cannot know it. It is that which lends its capacity to know. Intellect gains sentiency to know things because of Atma enlivening it. How can intellect understand Atma? Intellect cannot understand Atma. You get it? Because anything you understand is at the thought level. Atma is even beyond thought level. Therefore, whatever you understand is not Atma. Right? The understood and the understanding person and the understood merges when you reach that state. The knower and the known merges in that state. When you're still knowing something with your intellect, then it is still objective, not subjective. Is that clear? Therefore, that is not Brahman. Anything objective is not Brahman. Therefore, Brahman is actually unknowable from that point of view. Unknowable means with your intellect you can't know and understand. You can only merge with Brahman. He said, therefore, you can only become Brahman. You get it? Therefore, he says here that there are two Purushas, Kshara Purusha and Akshara Purusha. Kshara Purusha is this entire world of names and forms, the Jivas. Okay. And the Akshara Purusha is the Kutastha, the Maya. Then he continues.
उत्तमः पुरुषस्त्वन्यः परमात्मेत्युदाहृतः यो लोकत्रयमाविश्य बिभर्त्यव्यय ईश्वरः.
Uttama Purushastvandyaha, Anyaha. But the highest Purusha being is another his. Another means beyond. Beyond what? The Purush, the Kshara Purusha and the Akshara Purusha. Called the Supreme Self. Uttama Purushastvanyaha. Paramat Metyudahritaha. It is called as what? Supreme Self. Paramatma. Right? And what is it? Indestructible Lord. It is indestructible. Vibhartyavyaya Ishvara. Avyayam means unmanifest again. It is indestructible Lord who pervades and sustains the three worlds. What are the three worlds referring to? Waking, dream, and deep sleep. So now, what you need to understand from the individual point of view is waking and dream state is Kshara Purusha. Deep sleep is Akshara Purusha. Atma, the pure consciousness, is the Uttama Purusha, which pervades the deep sleep, dream, and waking state, and also exists beyond them and sustaining them. So here he wants to say that Brahman God is both immanent and transcendent. Immanent means it is within. Transcendent means it is beyond. Brahman is within the world and it is beyond as well. The consciousness pervades the deep sleep state, which is Akshara Purusha, pervades the waking and dream state, which is Kshara Purusha, and it also exists beyond in its pristine glory. It is never destroyable. It is the indestructible Lord. Which means what? Now coming to your point, Vasanas can also be destroyed. Vasanas are also destroyed. That's what he's saying. Therefore, strictly speaking, who is the really indestructible Lord? Uttama Purusha. Consciousness. pure consciousness. That's all he's saying. Right? So, and that is your state. From that, you have fallen to this level, thinking that you are this name and form. Abhinav. I don't know how many days ke baad they gave you name. Arvind and Sonia and the rest of the other family.
Changed his name, Swamiji.
Ah.
They first called him Akshay.
Ah,
Did the whole ceremony, and then I don't know what came over them, decided to change.
ah. So till that Akshay came, how were they calling you? For that matter, me also. Any one of us before the name. Like that we were called. And this name and this form also keeps on changing. Right? Slowly everything is changing. Skin is becoming loose, hair is becoming grey, everything is changing. This changing is called Kshara. Right? But the vasanas continue to be the same. I meet that guy when he was young. He was still as a painter going on. Now his body has become weak, tooth has fallen, hair has turned grey. Still he is a painter. Vasanas are continuing. Akshara. That vasanas alone exist in deep sleep. Therefore, deep sleep state I am calling it as Akshara. Then Atma, the consciousness, is even beyond that deep sleep. This is from the individual point of view. Now, once you have understood from the individual point of view, now it's easy to understand it from the total point of view. The total point of view, what is it? The collective names and forms. Right? Collective jivas are Kshara. Then the collective vasanas, Akshara. Then beyond that is Brahman, Uttama, Purusha. The total consciousness. That's all he's saying. That is the highest Purusha, which means what? That is the supreme self. That is that reality. That is that Brahman. That highest Brahman, which is really indestructible due to ignorance, is now being assumed by you and me as this destructible body, mind, intellect complex. What Shakespeare says, what a fall was there, my countrymen. We have fallen to this level. Now, by dwelling upon this knowledge, we have to rise back to that level. And when we fall, the samsara starts as we fall. When we rise, the samsara starts collapsing as we rise. It is just your perception. Ignorant perception creates samsara. Knowledgeable perception destroys samsara. You understand? That's how, otherwise people say, knowing all these things, how is it going to be helpful to me? This is how it is helpful. You understand? Once you understand this, then you don't get disturbed by anything. Even if you get disturbed, immediately as the knowledge comes in, you bounce back. Whatever may be the problem, I'll handle it. Do you get it? So that's why you study all these things. Otherwise, it's just theory. What's the big deal studying all these things? Why should we study? You understand? So therefore, he says, these are the two Purushas, and Uttama Purusha is beyond them, the highest Purusha. The same consciousness, with reference to the total vasanas, you call as Maya. Same consciousness, with reference to the collective individuals, you call it as Kshara Purusha. That's why he says, both the macrocosm and the microcosm is Kshara. And Uttama Purusha, Akshara is the substratum for both the macrocosm and the microcosm. What is the substratum for both the macrocosm and the microcosm? Vasanas. Please understand this. See, from the Vedantic angle, when you analyze now, when you ask this question, when did this world begin? Vedanta says, when you woke up this morning, or whenever you woke up. Because once you wake up As you wake up, Surabhi comes. As soon as Surabhi comes, instantaneously world comes. For you, when you go to sleep, when you're in deep sleep, is the world there? When you are in deep sleep, is the world there for you? In school, in English, when I used to study, I don't know which class, we had in prose, we had this story of Rip Van Winkle. He's supposed to have slept for 20 years, suddenly. I don't remember the context, but he slept for 20 years. Right? And when he wakes up, whole thing has changed. He was unaware of all that. Do you get it? So now, when you are in the waking state as Surabhi, you are thinking world is there independent of you. But when you go to sleep, when you are in deep sleep, no world exists for you. So when you exhaust your vasanas, the entire world is dissolved. Are you with me? So that's why he says both the, what do you call, the microcosm and the macrocosm, kshara. The substratum vasanas are akshara. And Brahman is Uttama Purusha. And that is you, me, and all of us originally, essentially. And when we understand this concept, then uske baad, there is no question of falling. And even in case you fall, you don't remain there. You bounce back. And that's why we say you will be able to handle the worldly challenges easily, whatever may be the challenge, when you begin to understand these concepts. So, the indestructible Lord, when he says, when the name and form is destroyed, even when the vasanas are destroyed, does it make any difference to the Lord, the consciousness within? Lord remains the Lord ever, always. And even when the Lord is misunderstood, or not understood, and misunderstood, has it made any difference to the Lord? When you don't understand the rope as a rope, does it make any difference to the rope? When you misunderstand it and project it as snake, does it make any difference to the snake? Sorry, to the rope? Nothing. So rope remains as the Lord, isn't it? Like that, Brahman ever remains the Lord. And when you begin to understand this, then you remain a Lord of your life. Otherwise, the perceptions, actions, emotions, and thoughts lord over you, and which is what is happening today. Isn't it? Today, the perceptions, actions, emotions, and thoughts, they are lording over us. They are dictating terms to us. See, sometimes you see in supermarkets and all that, when you go, a mother would have come with a maybe 3-year-old child, right, to the supermarket. And she's buying so many things. And the child has also picked up few things in the meantime and putting it in the basket. The mother suddenly sees, Arey, these toys. And she would have bought the same toy or something similar only yesterday. And a very expensive one, maybe. Isn't it? Some of these toys are very expensive. And he says, Arey, you got it only yesterday. No, 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 I want it, I want it. And mother says, no, no, nothing doing. And she keeps it back. And the child starts throwing tantrum. And the child starts lying down on the floor, rolling down, kicking the legs and all that. And the mother starts getting jittery. And then she says, okay, 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 okay. And quickly picks up that toy and then goes to the counter, with forgetting even the other things that she actually needs to buy. Because she's creating such a scene. You understand? So she says, okay, 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 okay. And then she goes to the counter and then she pays the bill and then quickly leaves. Now, who is the mother? Who is the child? 3-year-old child is dictating terms to you who is 30, 33 years old? Do you get
It's
it?
very cute to watch, Swamiji.
Huh?
It's very cute to watch as a spectator.
So the point is, this is exactly what is happening to us. This is exactly what is happening to us. You get it? This is because we have not understood ourselves in depth. The more you begin to understand about yourself, the more you unravel the truth about yourself, the easy it becomes to deal with the challenges of the life. That's why we say this knowledge is essential knowledge. Along with it, you gain the other knowledges. And that keeps changing. Now in the computer field, AI has come. In AI itself, God knows what all has come. I don't know. So you got to keep on updating. That's okay. You understand. But you won't get completely lost like you are lost today. You'll be able to gather yourself. You'll be rooted. You will not be uprooted. You get it? And that's why he says, he explains all this. It takes us to make us understand about ourselves. First, he comes to our level. How are we understanding ourselves? We are understanding ourselves as this name and form only. Right? So he first explains the name and form. And then he says, see, when you look at it, these names and forms are what? Perishable. But when the names and forms are perishable, there is something underneath, which is what? Vasanas. He then takes you to that level. That is relatively imperishable. Akshara. This is Kshara, this is Akshara. But that Vasana also you cannot say is you. Okay. You have to go penetrate, probe that. When you probe that, you understand that Vasanas can also be destroyed. It is also destructible upon waking up to the reality. Right? That is that supreme self. Beyond that, vasanas. Because vasanas means what? Basically, it is unmanifest desires. Right? How did those desires come about? How did those unmanifest vasanas come about? It's nothing but ignorance of your true nature. So, therefore, beyond that remains the true self knowledge. That's what he explains. So, I pervade, sustain this three worlds. So, when he says today, when we read it as Sri Krishna speaking, or Bhagavan Brahman is speaking and saying, I sustain the three worlds. But how you must understand this Uttama Purusha, the Supreme Self, the indestructible Lord who pervades and sustains the three worlds, is my real self. So I not Abhinav, I the real self. If you misunderstand and say Abhinav, then you become like Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu said, I am God. That I am God he referred to as this Kshara. Kshara is not your real self. You understand? Kshara is a very, what do you call, minuscule manifestation of your personality. You get it? So, beyond that, you have to understand. If you wrongly understand and interpret as I, the Abhinav is that, then you will become arrogant and you will do all kinds of nonsense. But if you really understand that, then you will be humble. You'll be grounded. Right? So that's what he's saying. I pervade and sustain the three worlds. Now, if you understand this correctly, you won't become arrogant. You will become confident. And even in poverty, you will be a master. If you don't understand this, even in opulence, you will be a slave. This is what it is. Now, this in the world, even in poverty, you will remain a master. Even in opulence, you remain a slave otherwise. And that is why he's giving all this. We'll continue in the next class. 18, 19, and 20 probably we'll do in the next class. He's explained the same concept furthermore. Let's conclude. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.